I think we'll roll through North Dakota State. Then we have our huge rivalry game with Nebraska,
On the
and
road.
it's at their home. So we're going on the road. I don't believe in Matt Rule. I'm a I was a semi Carolina Panthers fan because Cam Newton was there.
Uh-huh.
So when he went back there, I watched every single snap of every game. Not a fan, not a believer. I think that one's gonna be another good win. Then we go hit Colorado State.
Oh, that's gonna be rockets. That's gonna be
It
wow.
needs to be a blowout this season.
Run them
I
receipts,
don't want
right?
there to be. Oh, I don't want there to be any doubt. I want to
Mm-hmm.
go in they trap and take over they trap. Like I want to like it needs to be a statement game for sure.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So right there, I got us at 3-0. Then we go and see Arizona. At Arizona. At Arizona Stadium. That was my first start in college football. My first interception as a freshman. That's top 5 loudest atmospheres I've been in. And their stadium's not as big as Texas A&M, Auburn, Michigan, Ohio State. But that atmosphere was crazy. The student section is rocking. They love that team there. So that's going to be a great football atmosphere. We should have beat them this season. We talked about that in the last video, but
Right.
I don't think we'll have too much trouble with them. It should be a good game. But again, last year, like Coach Prime said, that was when we were at our worst.
Right.
So we should have won that game at our worst. This year, man.
Let me ask you this though.
I think we're gonna put it on them.
As we look at the schedule, first home game, then you got 3 straight road games. How do you feel about that? Being an ex-player and stuff like that. 3 straight road games.
Honestly, don't think it is too much of a big deal in college per se. It may be different in the NFL, but in college, it just really feels like it's a part of the game. Yeah, it's nice to be able to stay at home for an extra night during the week and not be, traveling. But I don't think that's gonna play a big impact as far as them for the rest of the season. It's gonna be a little bit of a gauntlet, but I think we'll get through that, and then we get to see Utah at home. Now, the thing with Utah is Utah's returning a quarterback that didn't really play this year. He's getting like his 11th year in college football. He's been in for a while. So he's coming back next year. Cameron Rising, and he'll be playing. So that though they may be a better team than what we saw at the end of the season, where we almost beat them with our backup. And
Right.
Had they not called Tua Travis's touchdowns down, we win that game. But still, I think we're gonna overpower basically everybody we face. So
they're rolling in
I
the
have that
boulder.
one. That's another win.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good. And then we got Oklahoma State. How do you feel about that? Or Baylor? How do you feel about that?
Baylor. I think I'm excited. It's a home game. I just feel like by then, the offense should be clicking and rolling. Like I feel like there were some games last season, as we talked about, how the offense was just couldn't get going. So I'm excited. I think I'm waiting to see if it's gonna be a day game, night game, but
that's what we need more of, man. Those night games are crazy. Put us in day games. People consider the night the primetime game. Give me day. Give me a 12 o'clock kickoff, a 2 o'clock something, because those 10:30 Eastern time kickoffs wasn't doing it. Yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, I expect us to roll through them. Baylor was 3-9 last year. Don't know what they're doing in the transfer portal or whatever, but not worried about that. Then we got Oklahoma State. So then we get, what is that, 4 home games in a row.
I think it's 5.
It's 5. That's actually insane. I'll be surprised if it stays that way, but 5 home games in a row is pretty crazy.
You want to know something wild? Baylor actually plays Oklahoma State week 4. So yeah, so Baylor and one of these teams might come in undefeated, but at the time. But after Baylor, Oklahoma State plays BYU, and then they play us. So maybe a 1-loss team. So hey, they're gonna come in hot.
What was really good about that is that when they play, it's right before we play both of them. So now we get that's going to be the primary film that those guys
because
are
you ain't
watching.
changing that much in that, right?
Exactly. We got to see exactly how Oklahoma State's defense played Baylor's offense, what succeeded, what didn't, and vice versa. So being able to have that right before is going to be really good. Oklahoma State, I think we're 10-4. So a good team for sure. I think we're a better team. Because like we talked, the only games I felt were out of reach from this past season genuinely was Oregon.
Right.
So I still think we could have been an 11-win team. Yeah, we need certain things to bounce a certain way, but we weren't far from being an 11-win team with last year's roster. With this year's roster, I mean, honestly, I'll save us some time. I expect us to go undefeated. I don't see anybody on there that gives me much of a pause. And the good thing about that is now we got 12 teams in the playoffs. So as long as you win your title game, we could potentially get in with 3 losses or 2 losses if we needed to. Right. I don't think we'll have that many losses, but if we needed to, we have a chance. Because Cincinnati, ever since Ritter left and Sauce and those guys, they haven't been the same. Kansas has been getting better as a football team, as a football school in the past few years, but still not enough. Texas Tech, they've kind of been in limbo in recent years, pretty much ever since Mahomes left. Right. And UCF is not the same UCF that they used to be. UCF used to be, hey, we're going to score 60 every game.
Easy, like, right? Hands down, right?
Yeah, that's what if there's a UCF game, you betting over every single time. So they don't have that same
firepower.
That they did before, because I think they maybe went 500 this past year, but yeah, UCF before is like, hey, as long as we can keep them under 50, we can win. But now, I think we'll be good. We're moving to the Big 12, which is a pass-happy league, known for not very good defenses. So we come in with a good defense, like Deion said, able to run and stop the run. I think it's going to lead to a lot of success moving forward, because that's another part of the Oregon game that killed us. We couldn't stop the run. And when you're playing a team that you can't stop them from running and they get a lead, it's tough.
Don't run.
Like, it changes everything. The key to us beating Oregon last year was us to get a lead early.
And make them have to change their game and start throwing.
Exactly. I don't trust Bo Nix at all. If we start that game 14-0, Bo gonna throw us something. He threw us one that game. A terrible. If we get the lead early, get them out of their comfort zone, it's a whole different ball game. But you have to be able to stop the run to start with, to be able to do that. Because when you can run the ball, you control the game. And that's what we missed a lot of. If we run the ball, we should have easily beat Stanford regardless, but we even easier beat them because we're throwing every play. So incompletions that stop on the clock, making quick drives, and your defense is tired because they're continuously going on the field. It becomes, essentially a snowball effect into every phase of the game.
So when I look at the schedule,
so being able to run the ball,
which game worries you the most? I mean, I can tell you.
So based on this schedule, the toughest games to me, I'd say Arizona, Oklahoma State, and maybe Kansas State. Yeah, those are probably going to be the tougher games for us. Yeah, in Nebraska, because it's a rivalry early in the season. That's the thing with Colorado. They're the only team that I know of in college football that plays their rivalry games like right out the gate. Yeah, everyone else, rivalry week is typically the week after Thanksgiving, but them, Nebraska, Colorado State, week 2 and 3. So, those are the ones.
And that's it's the first 4 games that worried me, especially game number 1, because we still haven't confirmed the offensive coordinator. Like so if you bring in somebody different than Sherman, right? So then they gotta, you got to get through that. Like it's not like NFL where you at least get preseason games, right? Like it's when we go, it's go. So, and then we got the defensive coordinator. I think we're sticking with this Saban Tree defense, but still, like you in college, hey, you work those king size as you go.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at
Yeah.
it, and then you got North Dakota State. Like you don't got like a cupcake, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you make a mistake or you start, not saying that they can bounce back or not saying they're growing up, but I'm looking at then you go on the road to Nebraska, and then you got to go to Colorado State. Let me tell you why I feel about rivalry games. Don't put your money on rivalry games. Just stay out of it.
Yeah,
I've seen teams that be like 1-11, like teams that are like 11-0.
Bro,
Like, wow.
Throw out the records anytime it's gonna be a rivalry game. Like you just don't understand. Like it doesn't matter. I mean, we see it. I've seen it here being in Alabama in the Iron Bowl almost every year. That's good. It was a tough game this year. Shoot, Alabama really should have lost that game. It was a 4th and like 30. And they threw it up and made it. And everyone's like, oh, but Auburn's not good this year. Auburn had just lost to New Mexico.
Wow.
And right after, all of a sudden, they're putting the beats on Alabama. So, yeah, I'm with you. Rivalry games, it's just different. You just can't.
You just can't, man. It's just different, completely different energy. And then, like I said, every game is going to be a sellout. All the haters is coming. All the haters is going to be there. And they're going to let you know they're going to be there. So,
they can't wait for
right.
They circling the game. Colorado messes up, and I think Coach Prime and that team, I think they thrive off that. Right. That's what they want. They want to have their back against the wall. They want to talk their stuff and then have to go and back it up. Right. And I think, obviously, like Coach Prime said all season, we were missing a few guys. As far as a few dogs that we needed to really be as successful as we wanted to. But I think that they weeded those guys out. Last year, the transfer portal, we just had to replace everybody like quickly.
Right.
Now we have so many players that are returning, so many good players returning. Now we can be like, okay, now let's get better at this. Let's add depth here. Let's try to build on this. Versus last year, it was like, hey, just give me somebody that can put a helmet on right. Just anybody. I've seen people online say that Coach Prime handpicked the lineman out of the portal last year. Like, no, he didn't. He got what he could. Like, he literally got who was available. He got the job, I think, like 2 weeks before the first signing day last year. So he didn't have time to really recruit how he wanted to. And now they've had this whole past year, and that's why we have the #1 transfer portal class in the country. So, I'm really excited to see what we're able to do going in next year, how these guys respond and how they handle the adversity that's going to come. Because there's going to be adversity throughout the season.
Yes, I agree.
It's a new conference.